2024 has been a straight-up feast for survival game fans, with Enshrouded, Nightingale, Palworld, and most recently, the full release of Sons of the Forest all launching 2 months into the new year. Sons of the Forest has two distinct advantages over those titles, with it one being a sequel to what's become a cult classic in 2018's The Forest, and two having a full year of early access to refine its co-op survival horror experience. We played through all the initial launch content last year and recently hopped back in to check out all the new changes with the 1.0 release. So, if you're wondering, should I hop back in if I played at launch? Is this worth playing with my best friends? And is Kelvin actually better than all the pals in Palworld combined? I'm here as one half of the Co-op Bros to answer all of those questions and more. Ooh, I hear it. It's to the right, maybe?
Oh, bro! What the heck is that, bro?
Oh my god. Okay, step back and get the Molotovs out, boys.
Yep.
Do not trigger it yet.
Agreed.
Do not trigger it yet.
Big yikes all around.
I think it gave it. No, it's still following us, dude. This thing is Look, it's in the tree. It's in the tree. This one is persistent, bro. It's hiding in the tree. It's like blending in with it like a freaking chameleon.
Oh god, dude.
Oh wait.
Is Gabe here? Yeah, Gabe's here.
Yep.
Okay, there you go, Garrett.
Pull up.
Holy crap. Let's go.
Dude, that was close.
Oh my god, what the heck? You have to
Garrett,
control it like this?
Yeah, this is like playing controls. Oh yeah, I see multiple orange ones.
Oh my god.
Like The Forest, Sons of the Forest remains a fairly easy game to set up in co-op. We covered a lot of the ins and outs of setting up a lobby in our how-to video that we released during launch, so I recommend you pop over to that video once you're done here. The gist of it is that Sons of the Forest has a very simple invite menu and can be played with a max of 8 players in online co-op. With the 1.0 update, you now have the freedom to choose from a couple starting difficulties and modes like Creative Mode, which does away with enemies and allows you to freely build without needing to gather resources. All character and story progression is saved on the host system, meaning you'll only be able to access your game if you're the host or playing with them. But other than that, the host isn't any different from the rest of the players, as each person has equal player agency and can do whatever they want. Just don't hurt Kelvin or you'll be kicked out of the island. I'm very serious about that one. Now you might be wondering, if I beat the game at launch, what happens to my save after the 1.0 update? Do I have to restart to see the new story content? Upon booting up your game, you'll actually be greeted with this message informing you that your ending progress has now been reset. So if you're like us and wanted to dive into your old save but still get to see the new endgame content, this is actually an ideal solution.
Oh, I just threw a flare at a guy. That was hilarious. I didn't see him. And then I threw a flare and it hit him right in the torso.
Though Sons of the Forest is a direct sequel to The Forest, you don't really need to have played the first game to enjoy this one, but the narrative does reward those that uncovered the mysteries surrounding the first island. Here you play as a hired gun sent to a remote island with your crew to find 2 missing billionaires and their daughter. After your helicopter mysteriously crash lands on the island, you'll quickly get acclimated to your handy dandy survival guide and GPS as your first tools of survival. But you'll notice you're not alone. Meet Kelvin. Yes, that guy that I've mentioned twice already. He was part of your crew and after the rough landing has suffered some brain injuries, but make no mistake, he's no less capable of helping you survive throughout your whole playthrough. Kelvin is a god among men and streamlines so much of the typical survival game loop. Need some food? Send Kelvin fishing. Need some logs? Watch Kelvin single-handedly bring about a disturbing amount of deforestation. Like most survival games, you'll spend a good amount of time watching your food, water, and energy gauges. You have to put up shelter to sleep, you're always searching containers for supplies, and of course you have to contend with the local cannibals. Kelvin doesn't break this loop, but rather just makes it a bit less cumbersome. Now you could just play this as a plain survival game and see how long you can last, but the other half of this experience is of course the story. This was one of our main criticisms of the first game, was it being pretty obtuse to progress and lacking guidance towards individual objectives. I'm happy to say this is one of the biggest improvements in Sons of the Forest thanks to your handy GPS. The GPS will populate points of interest as you get close to them, and you'll even start the game with a series of blue question marks to seek out. Progressing the story in this game is mostly about exploring bunkers and caves and finding the right key items to move forward. All the while you're finding notes and footage that piece together what exactly happened here. You want to be able to discover these things organically in this game rather than relying on a wiki. It's simple, but the GPS really helps with that, leading to those oh my god light bulb moments that make Sons of the Forest such a unique experience. Another amazing addition is vehicles. There's a ton of ways to traverse the island, be it on golf carts, one wheels, and even a hang glider. The map in this game is massive, so this also helps a ton when you found a key card or something and then you're like, oh, let's go back to that bunker that's on the complete opposite side of the island. Cool. Now you can just hop on a glider and literally fly there. Don't get me wrong, surviving in this game is still pretty tough. It's just nice having a couple tools to make the experience a little bit more manageable. And another part of that is of course having your friends along for the ride, so let's get to the co-op gameplay already.
We gotta reload.
Got a lot of holes. Big hole guy.
Yeah, they call this guy Holy.
Geez.
Internally, literally. He got some big cheeks though.
Some fat legs.
Watch out, watch out.
Shit. Nice.
Oh, I'm out of ammo.
Oof. Oh god. Oh dude, he just suplexed me.
Oh god, really?
There are two things you have to contend with in Sons of the Forest: the island inhabitants, like, you know, the mutants and cannibals, and then the island itself. Let's first talk about the enemies you face and how they've evolved the co-op gameplay. Sons of the Forest has a wide variety of enemy types, keeping you and your squad on your toes. There's giant brutes who can knock you down, mutants with spikes for legs, and then this thing which we can only refer to as fingies. Yeah, those guys were the grossest thing in the game until they added Lexi and Holy in the latest update, and yeah, those two take the cake now. Each enemy has unique behaviors, like how the Lexi can launch itself a pretty far distance, so it's key to call out which mutants sneak up on you and act accordingly. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say that these enemies have revolutionized the combat from the original, but they've definitely challenged us to try different tools and communicate on positioning a little bit more than we did in the first game. Speaking of tools, the sequel brings with it some pretty unique weapons. A lot of fan favorites return, but now you can sport a new revolver, stun baton, or even a guitar. The stun baton is particularly helpful as you can have someone stun a big enemy so your friend can go in and shotgun it in the face. Having a wider arsenal meant we could each tailor our playstyles to a degree, like Andrew going close quarters with a katana in hand while I take some shots from afar. And thankfully the overall feel of each weapon is a lot better than the original too. Now onto surviving the island. Survival remains as cooperative as the first game, if not more so in some areas. Similar to the forest, you still have to work together to catch food, gather items, and build a base. But like I mentioned earlier, a lot of this process is now streamlined thanks to our boy Kelvin. Kelvin's inclusion isn't a cheat code though, you still have to work together to stay alive, like how Andrew became the official chef of our group. And more importantly, you have to work together to keep Kelvin alive at all costs. One area that feels a lot more cooperative is base building. In the first game, you could really only build using pre-existing blueprints, and while I'm sure some people found ways around that, it was mostly a paint by the numbers affair. In Sons of the Forest, however, you can now build in a more freeform way, and it feels much more cooperative as you can essentially work together to build any kind of base you want. To put it simply, pretty much everything you do in this game feels cooperative because you're simply helping each other survive. Now, even with all that praise, I do think Sons of the Forest falls short in just a couple ways. Even though I said the game feels cooperative simply because you're helping each other survive, I think some people might read that as the co-op gameplay lacking some depths, and I think that's a fair critique actually. This is most evident in combat. You're mostly just ganging up on enemies as they don't have weak points or anything giving you an incentive to strategize. The wide arsenal is great, but it's not enough for each person to have like distinct loadouts per se. Maybe those just aren't elements that make sense in Sons of the Forest, but they stick out just a bit. Another area where it's lacking is in player customization. The host player is playing a fixed character in the story, but the other players in your lobby never get a chance to customize their appearance beyond just some clothing you can find. They're instead just handed a random character model, and I was hoping this was something they would have reworked with the 1.0 update. Even something as simple as letting us choose a pre-generated character would have been nice. Overall, I think Sons of the Forest does nail what it sets out to do in co-op, barring a couple nitpicks here and there, so let's move on to my final thoughts on the title.
Ooh, wait, we just got a new location, Bunker Luxury.
Luxury
Gord,
bunker.
not sure who these guys are supposed to be. We found 8 of them in Cave D7. It's the astronauts.
Yeah.
Dang,
dude.
This game.
This game is crazy. This game is like
I got goosebumps again, bro.
I really do.
With Sons of the Forest finally releasing onto 1.0, we now have a clear picture of what this game is, what it is apart from the original game or its early access launch, and what that game has become is an amazing co-op survival title. I don't think there's another survival game quite as immersive as Sons of the Forest. From the tactile crafting and inventory system to all the realistic details of this environment. The light shining through the trees, the wildlife, the way the sun gradually rises over the horizon, or how the scenery completely changes with the seasons, and especially all the creepy and subtle ways you're stalked by the island inhabitants. Apart from all that though, this game is just a blast. There's enough goofy things to play with like one wheels or sleds to keep you plenty distracted from the main quest. But if you're looking for a compelling mystery to unravel, Sons of the Forest delivers, and the 1.0 update has only made that experience a lot better. There's new voice acting in scenes both new and old, on top of additional clues and places of interest strewn about the island for you to find. The ending, which originally felt a little flat, now delivers a bombastic conclusion and an intriguing epilogue. So to finally answer those questions I posed at the start, if you played Sons of the Forest at launch, you definitely should hop back in to check out all the new content, whether that's in a new save or your old one. And if it's not obvious enough, yes, we absolutely recommend you play Sons of the Forest with your friends. Thanks for watching, guys. We're really happy we got the chance to talk about Sons of the Forest. We'll be covering the Outlaws Trials pretty soon and circling back to Enshrouded as well, so if you don't want to miss our coverage on either of those, consider subscribing, following us on our socials, or joining our Discord server. And if you want to go the extra mile, please check out our Patreon and merch store. You can find the links for everything down below. An extra thank you to all our Patreon producers. We'll catch you next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.
I'm gonna put that fish on. Oh, no, don't eat that. Don't eat that.
Dang it.
That was for later.
Sorry.
You people, you gotta eat the cooked fish, not the raw fish.
Hey, that was my first.
You can lead it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
That
you
was
know
my.
what I mean?
That was my first raw fish.
I just said raw fish. It looks.
Oh,
cooked,
are you serious?
It looks cooked.
Come eat
raw
a
fish
fish
for me?
These are all cooked fish. These are all cooked. If you mess this up, I don't know what to say.
I don't want this. I'm gonna get raw fish.
I've done everything I can to eliminate
raw fish
the possibility of you guys eating raw fish.
It's amazing.